Hello everybody and welcome to Cinema Savage. It's myself George bringing you a brand new movie review, and today I am bringing you a review on Avatar The Way of Water, released in cinemas this Friday. You all know this by now if you're watching it, and this is going to be spoiler free. I have been very fortunate to attend the UK multimedia screening that took place, the time this video goes up, last night, and recording. It's a 1:45 in the morning. I've just got back from London. I'm going to talk about the trip getting into London, by the way, because if you're a part of Film Twitter, you've just seen the absolute carnage from a lot of people trying to get to the screening, which is a story in itself. But before I get into that sort of stuff, give my thoughts on the film, I'm just going to quickly hand over to you guys. So please do comment below with your thoughts on Avatar. If you have seen the sequel, if you're watching it down the line, let me know your thoughts, but keep it spoiler free for this video. If you're a fan of the original, let me know your thoughts on the original. We did a review on that when the remaster came out, which was a complete 180 for me in regards to the experience of watching the film. I'm going to try and talk about the experience watching this sequel today, so do get involved in that respect. And if you like this video, hit that subscribe button, because this isn't the only Avatar video coming out this week. Of course, on Monday, we're going to be live with a spoiler discussion. We're going to go into the film. We're going to go over some of the big moments, our thoughts on it after seeing it for a bit of time. That'll be myself and Eamon on that one. So there is more Avatar videos coming. This is just a spoiler-free one for us to meet the embargo, and for you guys to hopefully get an inkling of if you think you'll like it or not. So, as I said, that's the best thing to do, is comment your thoughts on it. And if you want to find us, on social medias, when we find out what videos we're talking about, what we're posting about, you can do that. That is Twitter and Instagram at cinema_savvy, Facebook and letterboxd.com/cinemasavvy, and we've got a link in the description where you can pick up some merch from the Redbubble store if you wish. But talking Avatar, let's sort of go back to that. Oh, and also, on a personal note, I can finally say the setup is sorted. I am in the new room. It's much better recording space. There's no one above me this time round. The wall is done. Things are organised. And it should be a lot better moving forward for these videos, which is grateful. It makes it easier. I'm recording this at 1 in the morning in a different floor compared to where I was before. But that being said, let's talk Avatar The Way of Water. And I'm going to talk about getting to the screening tonight. Just if anyone's curious, if you're outside of the UK, you might not have seen the news. We've had some massive train strikes that are taking place today across the next month, standing in solidarity and all that sort of stuff. And it was going to start, the day after the screening. And on top of that, there's an issue getting home, essentially. The last train home, and it doesn't help you've got a 3-hour, 10-minute long film. Let's just put it that way. If it doesn't start on time, you're in big trouble getting to where I live, and a lot of other people. And then we've also had some snow today. And if anyone doesn't know what the UK is like with snow, it literally takes a centimetre for the country to absolutely lose its mind. The tubes were chaos. Trains were cancelled left, right and centre before the strikes even began. Everyone was struggling. No one knew we'd be getting into the screening tonight, and I watched it with Scott from Spy Has and Tom Butler from Bond A to Z. Thanks to Tom for sorting tickets out for us. Lovely to go as a trio and to catch up. And at one point, none of us knew all three of us would go. It would be two of us or one of us, but we all made it together, which was amazing, and that was its own experience getting there tonight, which kind of added to the experience. Because as I said, there's just a carnage, but if I take that aside, and I just really quickly give my thoughts on the first Avatar, I started 180'd on it. When I did the IMAX remaster a couple of months ago in 3D, I called it one of the best cinematic experiences of my life. Heading into my spoiler-free thoughts on the sequel, I'm delighted to say the same thing. This is one of the best cinematic experiences you will probably get the chance to have. I'm going to try and break it down into sectors of that. I'm going to give my thoughts on the story, some of the characters, the action, and just Pandora itself and the world, and of course the almighty James Cameron. So it's going to be weird doing this, because as I said, it is spoiler free, and I don't want to ruin this experience for anybody watching at home. But if I'm talking about how to watch this film, so it wasn't in IMAX the screening tonight, it was the variable high frame rate. If anyone's unfamiliar with that, I don't know the definition by chance, but it essentially, some of the shots are 48 frames per second, which is twice the normal amount. The Hobbit, 10 years ago, had a very similar sort of thing when people didn't really understand what's going on. And you've got some shots which are 24 frames per second. You think, okay, this is fairly easy to follow. And then because it's James Cameron, there are some shots where you have focal points in 48 frames per second, the background in 24, or the foreground in 48. So that's where the variable comes in. And that was its own experience. And some people will call it like a video game cutscene, which I completely agree with. It's kind of like a video game cutscene at the same time. And then the question is going to pose on you all individually, is this a criticism or is this a compliment? Because talking about my experience with it, I really enjoyed seeing it. It was very weird, but once my eyes and my system got used to seeing this variable frame rate strategy, I was just immersed. There were moments where I thought, not like the video game comparison, but they would get G'd up to start something and you suddenly think you're playing a PlayStation game and you're just going to get the controller out and just carry on from that point. It's a cutscene, but no, it's not. It is just the sheer brilliance of what James Cameron's done with this, and heading into even the production stuff. Do we need to talk about 3D? Everyone knows Avatar's the film that set the standard for 3D. Very few have followed with the standard. Nowhere near it. Some have done well with it, but we all knew this would be great 3D, so I'm not going to talk about that. Well, I actually also talk about the visual effects. And believe me, I know Reese, who's been on the channel before, tweeted something this night as well, and I need to know how they've made this film. I need the behind the scenes. I need to see how they shot the water scenes. I need to know how they've done this. I know it's took him 13 years to do. I know he's got groundbreaking technology, but I just want to know what that is. I want to try and find out as much information by the spoiler discussion next week. I don't think we're going to get it. I don't think we'll get much until the home media starts coming out in the coming months. But I've just got to say, this experience and the visuals, and I never normally jump into before, talking about visuals before characters and story, but with Avatar, let's be blunt. No one's going to Pandora to watch, the most groundbreaking story that's not been done, this intricate, finite detail. No, we're going to watch Avatar for pure escapism. We're going to Pandora. We're going to another planet, a planet we can't be in. And there's nothing wrong with watching films on a spectacle basis. It's one of the fundamental things that the general audience is involved in, and that I think certain corners of the web, film Twitter, some critics, some awards voters, they can't compensate is how the ordinary average person, how film goers want to watch these films. And most people don't watch films because they want to see the latest cutting edge technology. And James Cameron will tell you this as well. They just want to be entertained and have a good time, and he just delivers with this film. And it's kind of, I'm going through the story for this, I don't even think is bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's, I know the whole Pocahontas in space is obviously one of the things people speak about the first one, but for this one I felt the story was way more interesting than the first one. Yes, we're taking characters we've seen 13 years ago with them now. They've got kids, they've got a family, there's other things happening. James Cameron does a really good job at exploring into this family relationship of the Sullys, and specifically for all the child actors. I know Sigourney Weaver plays a kid now, which is weird to also call it a child actor, but there's some really interesting stuff going on with that, which I'm excited for people to discover. But just the character development these individuals go on, I think, is something that this film won't get credit for. There are a couple that you can be really attached to that have great arcs, and I don't think people will be talking about that purely on the basis that it's Avatar. You're going to be talking about the insane visuals, the action set pieces, what's new, and it delivers in that front, and it reaches a point where, like, fictional animals get character arcs. And I say animal, like whales, like you just seen in the trailer. And I'm just sort of there, like, how have I formed an attachment to a spacewalker? But I have. And it's wonderful for doing so. And I know that James Cameron's a big advocate of the sea, of wildlife, of nature, all that kind of stuff. I know that he likes to reflect some of his personal life, you could call it, or what he, his hobbies into his work. And you can really see that in this more than anything. I mean, when he's done the Titanic, all about water, The Abyss, Piranha 2. A lot of films of him has involved that sort of water elemental side of things, and Avatar's like the completion moment for it. And talking about the water tech, shooting underwater, I don't know how they've done it in this. And when I say this, I'm asking people if you're curious about this kind of process. Black Panther's one that this will be compared to a lot. Look at any film that shoots in water tanks. You can tell they're in a water tank. The framing's dark, the cameras are darker. It's very hard to get the scenes lit well. It looks like it's in a water tank. No matter how much they dress it, no matter if they have them on ropes and they fly them around, we know that it's not real. But in this film, this is the first time I've ever seen something where I'm just completely blown away by how they've shot it into water and what they do with the cameras as well. Is they'll have shots where you're up in the air and then you're just going to follow them down. You'll go and dwarf them for a couple of seconds, you'll come back up onto land, and there's no switching of angles. It's all in one continuous take, and just I can't comprehend the visuals for this. It's taken this long, and you've seen some of what people spoke about, that it's going to be groundbreaking. It genuinely is this time, and I just don't have the answers that I really want of how he's made this film. And that jumps into the experience for me that, I enjoy the characters, I enjoy the story, but I'm not watching it inherently for them. I'm watching it to spend time in Pandora, and at times it feels like a documentary series, it's like Planet Earth on BBC, if anyone's seen them, and they always use them for like 4K demos. This is almost a tech demo in a really sort of polite, complimentary way. You're watching this variable frame rate, you're watching this underwater shooting, the motion capture, the 3D, and it kind of spells not disaster moving forward, but hopefully the next 10 years of Hollywood isn't them trying to rip off Avatar 2 and start implementing these in their own way, because we know they will. We know what happened to 3D last time. It did stick around for a lot longer than anyone thought, and here we are again talking about 2022 is back, and it's going to make a lot of money for another big film, so don't be surprised when more films start telling you that it's going to be in 3D. But if I'm going to kind of move away from them, I really want to talk about Stephen Lang, who is, to me, the best thing in that first film. The villain. He's back in this. We know he's in this. He's in the trailer. I'm not going to give anything away about his character. But he is once again a highlight of the film. He's almost at this point in time, and with 2 films in, the Darth Vader to Jake Sully. Don't worry, he's not his dad. That's not a spoiler. Every time he appears, you just want more from him. Like, he's great. He's got a great presence, and he's so well suited to being in Avatar, to being on Pandora. And it's through the performance of Stephen Lang. It might be deemed, a 2-dimensional character, an over-the-top villain, but there's something about him that just works so well. And heading into the film, my big question mark is, so why is he coming back? Why is Sigourney Weaver coming back? Why is Sigourney Weaver playing a child? And these are all not necessarily answered in the context of they're going to explain A to Z. The real answer is James Cameron wanted them in the film, so he wrote around it for them to be in the film, which is also great, and it works in its favour. But there's a few surprises within the story I think we're going to enjoy. And the music as well. I didn't mind the score. If I'm being blunt, I was never a massive fan of the score from the first film. It's got a nice theme, but it doesn't get the chance to shine in this. But again, I'm so attracted to the on-screen visuals that I don't really have time for the audio coming out the ears, which is also very strange because I much prefer soundtracks to visuals at times, but it's an experience. And again, I'm keeping the spoiler free. We've got a big discussion next week, so I'm trying to avoid talking about the story side of it. If you want my criticisms of the film, it's 3 hours and 10 minutes. It does feel like 3 hours and 10 minutes, I can't lie. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the experience, and the experience is the most important thing. I didn't need to get up and nip to the loo. I know a lot of people were at certain moments in the screening tonight, and I think that will be an issue for a lot of the general audience. A lot of people will go in and out. It's not like Netflix where you can pause at home. But the runtime, you could easily lose 10-15 minutes. But at the same time, you lose 10-15 minutes, what would you take out? Because some of my favourite moments could arguably be scenes where nothing happens and we just spend time in the ocean with characters, just exploring with them. And that's kind of what I loved about this film. I've got this real sense of experience for this, that if I'm going to recommend this to people, which I am, I'm recommending you on watching this for the experience of seeing the film, more so for the film itself. James Cameron's locked himself away for a decade to do this, and you want to see the outcome of how he's made a film in this way. He's made it for you to enjoy on that big screen, in that big screen experience, and it just has to be seen to be big. There's no more words I can say that's going to tempt you. You're probably watching it in the cinema. If you're not watching the cinema, you're not, and I don't think anything I'm going to say is going to change that. But if you are going to go in, just let it be known, don't go in and watch 2D. Don't go and watch plain 3D. Honestly, go in. Go to your nearest IMAX. Find your nearest IMAX. Yes, it might cost a little bit more, and it's a very crap time at the moment for stuff like that, which I'm fully on the board with. But I'm saying, if you're going to make that jump, if there's going to be one film you watch in IMAX that's not Top Gun Maverick, do make it Avatar: The Way of Water, because the experience you're going to have from that, immersive is obviously the tagline, but you just have to see it in that format. I'm sorry, I'm going again on Friday. I didn't get invited to go and think, I'm going, I'm done now. I'm seeing it again. I want to see this properly on IMAX. Leicester Square Odeon is an incredible cinema, one of the best cinemas in the country, but it wasn't an IMAX screen, and I missed that small portion, so it was an amazing experience tonight, and I'm very grateful to have attended the screening and to get a review out. And I know this is me more waffling about how great James Cameron is and how great the immersive experience is, but I want you guys to get the chance to see this before I tell you anything that happens, and that's why we're doing a spoiler discussion in a week's time, on Monday, sorry, not a week, 6 days away. That's going to go up, that'll be live, we'll talk about everything. So if you do watch this and you want to follow up on that, do see it at your nearest cinema this weekend. Tickets are going to be tough to go. The Friday night I'm booked at, it was basically all sold out. No one will sit at the front sides at an IMAX, but people have booked tickets there, so this is going to be mega. There's going to be a box office discussion as well. Next Monday we can talk about the rumours that China's going to get $205 million on its opening 3 days, which is obscene. First American film released in China, I think, in 3 years since Rise of Skywalker, maybe, December 2019. But there's going to be a lot of box office talk. There's going to be a lot of discussions around this. If you do want that complete spoiler-free experience, just avoid social media from Friday until you can see it. But if you're not bothered about the story, then definitely have a read online. I think there'll be people that can dignify the behind the scenes. I think we'll get articles as the Oscar season moves forward and how they achieved and what they achieved and the processes behind it. And that's what I'm excited to learn about. I'll be picking this up as soon as there's a home media, as soon as there's documentaries, behind the scenes making of, because I love technology like this. And in regards to a cinematic achievement, there are a few better than this. This is one of the best technically crafted, not just of the year, of a decade or so. In the same way that Mad Max Fury Road is, yes, the plot to Mad Max Fury Road is a car turns left. But has it ever been more exciting about a car turning left and a car is happening? No. And it's the same with Avatar: The Way of Water. So that's going to do it for tonight's review. As I've said, go and see this film. This is spoiler free. It's an experience you will not regret. And if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. And that is fine as well. It's not a problem. And yeah, I want to hear from you at home. So please comment your thoughts. I've realised I'm wearing my coat still. That's how literally late I've got up and started recording this. So please let me know your thoughts on the film if you've seen it, if you haven't, on the original. And as I said, if you enjoy this, hit that subscribe button. I don't mind. Do I do the announcement now? No, there'll be an announcement next Monday night. So join us on next Monday night. We'll be announcing a series we're going to start in January as well. It's just easier to do it at the end of the spoiler discussion, so we can talk about a few other things in detail. But do join us next Monday for the announcement for the Avatar review. We've got a few other things happening on the channel. We've had some home media stuff. There's a lot of changes. Tate Sound in Austria. There's a Pinocchio review. So many things happening. We'll have a big video in the new year, as we always do, going through some of our major videos for the year. But as I said, there'll be the first announcements next Monday. So do join us for that. Get us on our social medias. Links are all in the description below. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you get the chance to enjoy and experience this film in the right way. Take care. We'll see you then.